It did sound like there were a couple animals crossing the road up ahead. So we're hanging out here. But it does actually look like there's a brown colored animal with striped party pants that just kind of popped out over there on the right. That is an okapi. Now, okapis might look like they are related to zebras with those striped legs, but they're actually one of the only living relatives of the giraffe. If you look at their head, they do have the same skull structure the giraffe has. They also have the same tongue. Now, they are very shy animals, and because of that, they weren't discovered until about 1901. Now, the black and white bird hanging out there a little bit closer, that is a saddle-billed stork. They can stand out about 5 feet tall and have a wingspan all the way up to about 9 feet long. They get their name from the yellow saddle shape on their beak. They do also mate for life. So once they find their partner, they're with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for another one. Usually when you see the one, there's usually another couple hanging out there. Up ahead of us, they're going to be on the right-hand side. It looks like there's a couple animals moving up ahead. Now, the animals with horns that are coming up are bongos. There's also a couple light tan-colored animals that are kind of hanging out on the hillside up ahead. Those are greater kudus. Now, the bongos are very shy and reclusive, just like that okapi. That's how they get their nickname, the ghost of the forest. Both males and females have horns on the back of their head, and they are angled backwards to help them get through any of that thick and tangled brush here in the forest that they usually live in. We're going to get a little bit closer to them here. It does also look like, once we get up ahead here, over on the left-hand side, kind of at the top of the hill, there is a black rhino.
Đâu có không? Thấy không? Cho tôi không thấy.
Oh,
yeah, rhino kìa Vivian.
Up there. The black rhinos do have a more pointed prehensile upper lip that works kind of like your fingers. That is what helps us identify them as black rhinos. They're also one of the smaller rhino species, coming in at about 3,000
trời, con nói cái sừng cơ.
So pretty big, but there are definitely bigger ones out there. Unfortunately, that is an increasingly rare sight in the wild to see, as there are fewer than 5,000
bên đây nè, bên đây.
Now they are punched on the top of their heads, which are just made out of keratin. And that's the exact same thing your hair and fingernails made out of.
Wow, cái sừng bự quá.
But I have not gained any.
Không biết nay gì mà bự quá, sao bự.
They hold no scientific or medicinal value.
Con này con cái.
It looks like we are about to cross over some water, so that means we're going to make our way out of the Little Aturi Forest and head over towards the Safi River. When we do get out there, you're going to want to keep your eyes near the water, looking for any kind of shadowy figures. A lot of times we'll see Nile crocodile or even Nile hippos. Now, hippos will spend most of their time in the water. They can even spend about 8 minutes at a time underneath the surface.
Có hà mã không nha, kiếm hà mã nha.
There is something of water come up here on the left, but they sometimes like to hang out in where you can head down there.
Nè.
There's actually a baby hippo up ahead, walking around on the grass up ahead there. Now, while we're heading out there, these white and gray birds that are hanging out on the top of the island are pink-backed pelicans. They do get their name from the pink coloration that their feathers get during mating season. That's not actually their feathers that turn pink, though. It's their skin that turns that color. It kind of makes their feathers look in.
That's the baby hippo?
Yeah. The average male hippo does come in at about 5,500 pounds. And they do kind of float to the bottom of the water and walk along the bottom rather than swim. Now, a group of hippos is called a bloat. And although they are herbivores, they do tend to be one of the more territorial animals here in Africa, and they can easily outrun a human on land. This little one is Greta. She's almost a year old. Next month.
That's the baby.
Baby hippos, when they're born, can weigh anywhere between 50 and 100 pounds. And they will do most of their nursing under the water, so it's super cool that we're actually seeing her up and moving around a little bit. We are also making our way towards crocodile territory. So start being on the lookout for those. Actually, down on the left on the shore, it looks like there's a few. The average Nile crocodile does come in at about 16 feet in length, weighing about 500 pounds. They can grow to be about 20 feet long, though. And I do know there's a couple of them down there that are a little bit over 100 pounds. When it is really hot out, you will see them hanging out with their mouth open. That's because, unlike you and I, they can't sweat. So they do open their mouth. It does help them regulate their temperature, keeps them a little bit cooler. You will notice a lot of the animals here in Africa have some sort of natural cooling capability. pretty hot out there. But we are going to start making our way towards the savannah. That does happen to be one of the largest parts on the reserve. It's also home to some of the more famous animals like lions, elephants, and giraffes. So hopefully we'll see some of those. While we are heading out there though, over on the right, this tree that kind of looks like it was planted upside down, that is a baobab tree, also known as the tree of life or the upside down tree. And they will remain leafless or dormant up to 9 months out of the year, and that's to help conserve any kind of water or energy the tree itself does have, as it is usually fairly dry out here on the savannah. I am seeing some giraffes moving up ahead. We're going to get a lot closer to them though, so we'll see what else we can find on our way out there. Now, going to be coming up here on the right, these animals with these really big thick horns here. These are
trời luôn kìa, hú cao cổ kìa Vivian.
They're also known as Watusi cattle after the Watusi tribe that did first domesticate them. And they are one of the only domesticated
Kìa, con gì có sừng bự quá kìa.
Con gì sừng bự quá. Look really big and heavy. They are mostly hollow though, with kind of a honeycomb structure on the inside, so they are fairly light.
Con sừng nó bự
And
không?
within that honeycomb structure, they do actually have a bunch of blood vessels, so that does help them regulate their temperature.
Thấy
And
sừng
those
bự không?
horns can grow to be about 4 to 6 feet long on top of their head. Alright, coming up here on the left, we're going to go past this boulder so we get a little more front view. But these are African painted dogs running around.
Hai cẩu.
Is this one a wolf?
And these guys do look super cute and cuddly. Kind of look like your household pets. They are one of the most successful hunters here in Africa, with a success rate of about only 90% of their chases. And they've been known to chase their prey all the way up to the point of exhaustion. So they're very, very tactical hunters, usually hunting in packs of about 5 to 15. A little bit further back, kind of hiding in the shade back there, there's some brown and white coat animals with long skinny horns. Those are sable antelope. And they are the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. So they might look a little familiar. You might have seen their picture up around the village before. It did look like those ones back there were females. The males have a much darker, almost black color.
Con nào nguyên cái colony của N nè.
Alright, looking at these giraffes, it looks like they are Maasai giraffe. If you look, they do kind of have that jagged puzzle-like coat pattern. Now the reticulated giraffes have a much smoother, almost net-like pattern to them. They can stand anywhere between 16 and 20 feet tall. That does make them the tallest animal in the world. Now, even their young can come in at about 6 feet tall when they're born. So they're already fairly big when they're babies.
Cao quá, sao cao. Wow.
Now, just like your fingerprint is unique to you, the coat pattern of the giraffe is unique to them, and it does help them tell each other apart when they're in groups. And a group of giraffes is called a tower. It's a pretty fitting name for something so tall. They do also only sleep for about 30 minutes a day. The rest of the time is pretty much spent eating. Coming up ahead of us are some darker colored animals here. These are wildebeest. Now, wildebeest are a large herding animal. They take part in the Great Migration, which is so large it can actually be seen from space. So there's easily over 1 million, usually more like 1.5 million that will migrate every year together.
Wow, mấy con này sao nó ốm thế?
Blind. So when they sleep, you'll actually see them all sleeping in rows facing the same way. They do that, so if anything tries to sneak up behind the herd, they can all get up and start running the same way. That way they don't run into each other. Everything has some sort of reasoning.
Trong phim Play, cái con này chạy nguyên đàn luôn, nhớ không? Không biết.
So there are some zebras up ahead. We might get a little bit closer. They're kind of off the front right of the truck. We'll hopefully get a little bit closer. Actually, look here, there's another couple up ahead.
Kìa, con zebra đó kìa.
Mountain zebras. Once we get to them, if you look underneath their
đó kìa, Vivian thấy không? Đó có người dằn đó.
That is called a dewlap. It does help them regulate their temperature. They're also the only zebra species that has it, so it does help us identify them. Now, a group of zebras is called a dazzle. And if you've ever wondered if a zebra was black with white stripes or white with black stripes, just look at their nose. If they have a black nose, they're black with white stripes. If they have a white nose, they are white with black stripes. We're also coming up on some knockdown trees up ahead here. So everyone start being on the lookout for elephants. Now, elephants are known as nature's bulldozers, so chances are if there's some knockdown stuff, that's usually good sign that there's been some sort of elephant activity throughout the area.
Đây mình chuẩn bị thấy voi đó Vivian. Mình kiếm voi nha, voi ở đâu nha con?
Well, we are on the lookout for elephants over on the left, running around underneath the trees here. There's a troop of mandrills. Mandrills are one of the largest species of monkeys. An adult male can come in at about 100 pounds. They do have those vibrant blue cheeks, and as they get more excited or even more angry, they actually get even more blue. And there is also an elephant back there on the right.
Voi Vivian, voi kìa, voi kìa.
Wow, it's so big.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it back there. Now that is an African elephant. We can tell not only because
Kìa. Yeah.
but if you look at the ear shape of the elephant, it almost kind of looks like the continent of Africa. So it makes it super easy to identify them. Now there is sometimes a herd of them that likes to hang out a little bit farther up. So we're gonna see if we can head up that way, maybe find some more, maybe get a little bit better view too. Now thanks to our team's conservation efforts, they've actually found that elephants are afraid of bees. So because of that, farmers have been putting up beehive fences around their crops. It's a much safer alternative for the elephants. It keeps them farther away from the crops, but it also keeps our locals and our farmers happy. I always thought it was so funny though that such a large animal was afraid of such a tiny little insect, and it's the noise that the bees make. So elephants have extremely sensitive ears, and that buzzing noise bothers their ears more than anything. And it looks like there are some test marks in the red clay on both sides of the truck. So hopefully that is a good sign the herd has moved through here fairly recently. Just like you and I might take a multivitamin every day, the elephants do eat that red clay. It gives them a little more nutrients they may not always get from their daily diet. Now, as male elephants grow older and more mature, they do get kicked out of the herd by the female elephants. They either live in solitary or smaller groups of male-only elephants called bachelor herds. They do get a little bit too rough with the young ones, and the females are not a huge fan of that. And the females are the boss when it comes to the herd. They are led by one female matriarch who will pretty much make all of the decisions for that herd. I think I saw some up ahead, so we're going to see if we can get
mấy cái cây này giống như cây bông mà không biết cây gì á.
They do have really sensitive skin, so you will see them throwing dirt and mud up on their back. That acts as a natural sunscreen for them. You will also see them flapping those really big ears that they have, as those ears are home to a bunch of blood vessels on the inside. So just doing that does activate those blood vessels and can even cool their body temperatures down about 15 degrees.
Xin lầy.
Yeah, you can kind of see him hanging out back there on the left. Now we are also coming up on a flamboyance of greater flamingos.
Ngỗng đâu? Flamingo để đây thấy.
They start off as a gray color as they get older and their vibrant pink color from their diet, which does consist mostly of beta-carotene. If you look closely at some of them, the back of their head and neck, some of them do still have some of that kind of gray coloring. So those ones are still fairly young. They can take up to 2 years for them to get to that full pink color. They're one of the lightest colors of flamingo species, as well as one of the largest. You might have seen their cousins, the lesser flamingos, out on Discovery Island when you were coming in today. They're quite a bit brighter in color than those ones. They're also a little bit smaller.
Tôi muốn có thấy có mấy con đậm đậm á, mà không thấy cái này nó lạc quá. Elephant. Ở đâu đây nè? Kìa, ở đằng sau nè.
Sometimes we'll see white rhinos not too far. Just like the elephants, they do also have really sensitive skin. You'll see them rolling around in those mud pits every once in a while.
Sừng trắng. Rhino mà màu trắng. Rhino á, hiếm á.
On the reserve though, so just because I'm not seeing any yet, doesn't mean we won't see any. They do have quite a few different hiding spots, so we'll definitely be on the lookout for them. We are also making our way towards big cat territory, so start being on the lookout for those. And actually, over on the right side, we're gonna get a little bit better view. There is a couple white rhinos at the top there.
Where?
We're gonna go around the front of the hill, so we should hopefully see them a little bit better. Now, white rhinos don't get their name from their skin color; they get it from the Afrikaans word.
Hà mã trắng.
Wide. If you look at their mouth, you notice they have a really wide, kind of rectangular mouth. They're also one of the larger species of rhinos, coming in at about 5,000 pounds. They're about 2,000 pounds bigger than black rhinos.
Hà mã trắng.
One of my favorite things about them, even though they are 5,000 pounds, when they run, they can get all 4 of their little legs off the ground. So kind of like how a horse gallops. So they are very graceful for how large they are. Now a group of rhinos is called a crash. And I like to think that's because they are almost blind. They can only see about 10 feet in front of them. And what they can see is kind of just shadows. Does that make sense? Now we are coming around the Kopi Rocks, a lot of different animals.
Giống như cái này giống như chỗ Lion King không? Giống như chỗ Lion King bỏ vô đó, bỏ mấy con sư tử lên đó.
Mấy con khỉ đang cầm sư tử giờ lên đó.
That way gives them a little bit of protection from any of those larger animals. The rocks themselves do get pretty hot sitting out in the sun though all day. So you may have to
look,
a little bit harder
kìa, rhino kìa, big one, right there. Kìa đây nè, Vivian, cô nhìn đây nè.
Also over on the right, there's another white rhino. There is also a small brown or white-colored animal. That is a bantaba.
Mấy con bự không?
And if you look closely, actually where that truck is back there, right by the passenger side door, there's an ostrich. Now ostriches are the largest species of bird. They are flightless birds though. They will use those wings to help them turn because they can run speeds of about 30 to 40 miles per hour, so they are fairly quick. Now that bantaba is related to wildebeest. Within 5 minutes of birth, they can stand. Within about 10 to 15 minutes, they can also walk and run. And that is a super good survival technique for them. That way, once those little ones are born, they can get up and get on the move as quickly as possible. That way, they don't attract any of those larger animals. We should actually see the white rhino again here.
Mommy, there's a hole. There's a hole. Why is there a hole?
Actually, looks like there is a baby white rhino up ahead here too.
Oh, right here. Vivian, look. Rhino here. Right there.
I believe that one is Milo.
A baby there.
Now Milo was born back in September, so he's still pretty small. Those eggs down there were ostrich eggs. Individually, each one of those eggs can weigh about 3 pounds, and they are so strong that just about any one of us could stand on them and absolutely nothing would happen. They do also tend to lay all of their eggs in one big pile in the